We've been seeing scrims, we've been seeing some stuff going down. Just like sports shows, I'm gonna look to the next year already and look at the Optic roster. With Scump officially declaring his retirement for the next year, which would be the second year of Modern Warfare 2, he did say if he wins every single tournament in Modern Warfare 2 this year, he's going to not retire. So he said, sure. On stream, he said, sure, if I win every single tournament, if we just roll through, I will not retire. So we kind of got Tom Brady's situation. As I said in my last video, I don't think it's not a guaranteed that he's done. I mean, he's still, I know in gaming years, 28 is old, or maybe he's 27, but I just don't believe that. I think we have this false perception of age, and I think we can play longer than we expect. If Scump, if they dominate, I expect he'll play again. We're going to have older maps from the classic Modern Warfare 2 game, so I think he will come back. But in the situation that they actually don't, I have a prediction on what is going to happen with Optic. So I've heard some streamers talk about getting Simp, like if FaZe again don't match what their potential is as a team, that maybe they'll split up the Tiny Terrors, Simp and Abizi, so that it'll make the league more even, and then anyone will want to go to Optic just because they're such a big brand. FaZe is huge too. People have said Simp, but I actually have another person in mind. And this does hurt me a little bit. As I've said, I'm from the Northwest. I love, the Surge were the first team I watched coming into the CDL. We're going to look at his POV real quick. Pretty boy Pred. I believe Hex is starting the ascent to try to get Pred on Optic. And if you think about it, it makes complete sense. If my information is correct, I believe Sib and Pred are both free agents next year. Let's just be honest, the Surge are not a organization that's going to keep people there if someone like Optic or FaZe come knocking. And I believe, next year, if the Surge don't reach their potential again, things go a little awry, Hex is going to swoop in when Scump retires and bring Pred on. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pred was on the Optic podcast literally a few days after Scump announced his retirement. And here's the good thing about Hex. I think Hex is one of the best owners in the league. He is just so good at being natural, charismatic, and always available to people so that he is able to make these connections. And I think if you look in just life in general, the owners and GMs of teams and just in life, in business, you need to have someone in charge who is very personable, which Hex is, and I think that makes Optic a strong force because, yes, the brand's great, but they also have an owner who is very likable. So through his just being himself and being likable, it brings the ability to bring people on. So I think, in the back of Hex's mind, was he doing this to create a connection with Pred so that next year he'll be able to get him? I believe so. But that's just speculation. I think, Hex brings on a lot of people, so it's not necessarily that. But the thing is, Pred brings a great personality to Optic. He's an up-and-comer. He won an MVP. He won a Rookie of the Year. MVP of Major 3. He won a major championship. He won Rookie of the Year. And he's just, if he performs again next year, I think Hex is trying to build that foundation, get the friendship going, because you'll need a new sub. In Call of Duty, subs are the most important role you could have. So getting a sub like Pred on your team is just so important. And I believe that if Scump does retire, like he says, and the Surge underperform, giving Sib and Pred a reason to leave, because, in the podcast, Pred said a few things like, I watched the Optic as, I watched you guys as kids, and so then that brings, there's just a childlike quality to when you like something as a child, the strength to want to go there and play there and envision yourself in the black and green jersey, I think is just too strong. So, yes, so in my prediction is Pred will be an Optic Texas player next season if these situations occur. I also would say, if Pred leaves, I don't know why Sib would stay in Seattle. I could see maybe if Slasher underperforms, or if Slasher underperforms, or Simp does leave, like some people have said. It's not a very strong case, but if those situations occur, that I could see Sib going back to FaZe. FaZe is a big name. He was the second All-Star team last year. He's a rookie. He's hot as well, and this will be devastating for the Seattle Surge. They get two great players. They're starting a dynasty-like qualities. Not that they are starting a dynasty, but they got the qualities, the foundation in place, and it would just be a humongous loss for Seattle Surge. But these are just my predictions going into next season. Pred is just outstanding. Here is the FaZe Surge scrim. They're playing on Mercado, and Pred is literally having his way with these guys. The Vesnov is still the main SMG. It looks like they're all using the M4 or the Scar. I'm not sure. Just because we're only seeing Pred's perspective, I can't see their guns. Oh, the TAC. Sorry. Yeah, the TAC. So we also saw Dashy talk about the TAC in another video, saying that, this is the main gun. So that'd be cool as well to have another gun, not just the M4. Again, because it'll feel just like Modern Warfare. So I was hoping that we'd have two different guns from Modern Warfare 2019. But Pred is just having his way. He is literally a rock star. He's got the personality. He's got everything in place to be the big name Call of Duty player. And I can tell Hex is licking his chops to try to get Pred. And real quick, for my last segment, make a quick one. I wanted to bring up some of the maps in Modern Warfare 2 and just talk about them real quickly. Mainly Marine or Crown Raceway, as I believe it's called. And here it is. So this has been one of my favorite maps to play in the beta, actually. I really enjoy this outer edge with the little garages going underneath. I really enjoy the flow of the map as well. It's been one of my favorites. We've heard that the CDL players aren't even allowed, they can play it, but they're not even allowed to let it be a map that they put in the rotation for competitive. Now, this is, I think, a huge blow. I feel like this is one of the most cleanest maps. It looks good. It plays different. And I think it really sucks. But then on top of that, we also got the museum map that was only in the beta so far. That's probably going to come back. That is also trademarked, as it looks like a museum in real life. I'm not sure the location of it. But another one. And then on top of it, a third map is now under investigation for, it is the Greenbur, the hotel map, whatever it's called, Greenbur, and that map looks exactly like a museum in real life. So in this game, they've literally just been copying places, which I have no problem with, but they probably should have gotten the rights to do so to not allow these issues. So now I'm curious how many of these maps will be even allowed in competitive. We saw in Modern Warfare 2019 that DLC maps are put in the rotation, and we're gonna have to hold our breaths and hope that happens, because at this point there is no map like Gunrunner in this game. Gunrunner, even though I feel like in general Modern Warfare 2019 maps were worse just as a whole, I feel like at this point there is no map like Gunrunner, which was the best map in Modern Warfare 2019, and I haven't played a map yet where I just feel like, oh, this is gonna be a really fun, great map to play. And, that could change. Obviously, the 4v4, no kill streaks, all these different things. It completely changes the game. I'm trying to get some 4v4s together so I can feel it out for myself. 3 maps taken from real life that are all having issues at this point. I wonder if we'll see Museum again. I know a lot of people didn't like that map. I kind of liked it. That middle section was such a long line of sight. It was hard to run in there and not get killed or get shot at, and people just camping and watching. So I don't know if it'll play very well. But, as a whole, I feel like I am positive for these maps in a competitive aspect. I'm going to be making a Modern Warfare 2 review for midnight release with my brother. If you've seen any of our movies, we're going to do the same thing with video games and do a Modern Warfare 2 release, and I will give my full thoughts on everything to do with multiplayer, not ranked. When ranked comes out, I'll do again, and because, everything, the entire landscape changes, so... Yeah, it's really interesting. Looks like Crown Raceway will not be in competitive, even though I feel like it was made for it. And that just is I think that's a big blow to the scene. So thanks for watching, And please feel free to like and subscribe and watch some other videos for Midnight Release.